Hi guys, my name is Argie Muriuki. I am a solution mapping expert, a human-centered designer, and a champion for social change. And we have started a podcast, called Beneath the Impact Podcast. And kindly follow us. We'll be having very interactive conversations around impact, the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, and also how we as young people can really speak and come and advocate for change in our community. So if that's your vibe, kindly join us and subscribe.
Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Beneath the Impact Podcast. This is a podcast whereby we bring stories of changemakers, of people changing the social impact space. We'll be uncovering real stories and also looking in terms of methodology to change the space that we work on. Today, I'm your host, Dennis, and my co-host,
Argie.
Welcome, and it's our first episode, and we are quite nervous and also happy to be here. Awesome. So in this first episode, we'll be talking about what is social impact first, because we thought of maybe let's start in terms of debunking that term about social impact and have a conversation with Argie about it. So Argie, what is social impact in a few words or many?
Thank you, Dennis. I'm super excited to be here to just talk about, social impact, especially in our context, Africa, Kenya, the global south, right?
Yeah.
And just demystifying some of the, myths around it and really talking about how can we really come together, galvanize, and really have social impact, right?
Yeah.
So I'll start broadly, and then we can just go down the funnel as we're talking about social impact. So generally, social impact is just, a series of, for me, a series of actions or even inactions that can lead to certain effects, right? And here we are more on the positive side of things. What are the actions that we can do as individuals, as, governments, NGOs, different players in the system that can really speak to our challenges and can bring change, right? Can bring change to some of the problems or the challenges that we are facing as, local communities, the countries, and even in the global arena. So just a general look at social impact broadly, but I know through the discussion we really get down to understanding the key, domains of social impact and what we can do and the different stakeholders in the space and how we can all collaborate together.
Awesome. I believe that also resonates with me because for me, I look in terms of social impact is how we change a life of a person or a community or the country at whole. But it's more or less, in case you change even one life, I believe it's quite good. But also we have to look in terms of also the environment that we are in and also maybe also the systems that we operate in because it's all connected. And if one thing is not working, we might find also it affects us either positively or also negatively. What are some of the myths or rather some of the beliefs that we have in terms of social impact?
That's a very good question, and even before even getting to the myths, we need to understand, like you've said, the environment, the society that we live in. Because you'd look at, some of the key domains, for example, of social impact when you're looking at, poverty, and some of them, most of the time, because we have the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goal, they give us a very good base on what we need to achieve and what we are working towards, right? Yeah. And with that comes a lot of myths, right? Well, the first thing that I'd say would be primarily people think that social impact is an NGO or a non-profit kind of space, right? That it's only, different NGOs who and maybe even CBOs that really should be in the social impact space. But you'd really find out that they're just one part of the piece, right? Because we have the government, for example, and the government is a key player when it comes to social impact. They are really mandated to create, policies, frameworks that really speak to the community or even the environment that we are in, right? It can be in terms of education, it can be in terms of, healthcare, and all. So looking at the government and also holding them accountable is quite important for us to achieve social impact. We have also individuals, right? We don't exist in a silo, for example. So we need to understand how are we also affecting our environment and where we come from. So we always say that the people who are closest to the problem are also closest to the solution, right? So it's a matter of, okay, so what's the problem in my community, in my local community, or even where I come from, right? In my household, for example, and what are some of the actions that I can take as an individual that would really help solve this problem, right? Because I'm the one who is facing the problem. So what are some of the things or interventions that I can do at my own level before even getting to the tiered level that are there? Well, we can look at, because we can look at businesses, for example, also a very crucial part, right? And it's not only about CSR. It's more of, shared values, right? Because businesses, these profit businesses really speak to, some of our solutions or our problems rather, and they offer solutions in terms of products, services. They can have an innovation where it can help a certain, somewhere in the system that can really support, different members of our community, or even just looking at the bigger picture can really feed into our economy or even solve solutions for those who are going through different problems. So having those different stakeholders is quite important to just demystify that social impact is only NGO, non-profit. No. There's a lot of players in that ecosystem, and we really need to collaborate and work together to ensure that we are, reaching our goals and also the outcomes that we want.
Yes, that so much resonates, because I believe, for example, the government has a role of creating a good environment, especially for where innovation can foster, because innovation is the thing that help solving the problems that we have, but also creating opportunities for the individuals, also community, to flourish in the future. But businesses is the spark in terms of innovation, bringing products, for example, cases like M-Pesa, the way it came and it solved a lot of issues, or rather for financial inclusion also in the most rural areas which we have. So it's quite important for us, all of us, to realize that social impact is not just NGOs, but also these other players. In terms of me as a person, I have a role to play in terms of social impact. That's quite crucial. Also, in terms of one myth which I usually see is social impact is big numbers, especially with NGOs. They look in terms of how many people have we reached. That's the selling point. Which also sometimes it misses the point, because you can reach to 100,000 or even 1 million people. Even a business, you can have sales of 100,000. But what is more important, I believe, is more or less how have you changed the life of that person? Have you made it easy for them to do whatever they do in their daily lives, or is it still the same? So I think there is also one myth which I see, especially working with different people. They are like, how many numbers have you reached? No, it's not about that. It's more or less, how have I changed your life? And what value do I bring on the table?
And it's very true, because I once had someone say that numbers without context, they're just numbers, right? And I know even when we are really looking at measuring social impact, there's the quantitative side of it rather, where we're looking at the numbers and all, but also we need to have the stories of transformation, like you're talking about, really looking at, we've removed these people from this point to this point. There's a transformation that has gone on, right? And that is also quite important, that we really need to also look at those stories, hear those voices. And for social impact, for me, it's not really even solving for them, for communities, it's solving with them, right? Because the solutions will stick with them, right? And the solutions will hence become sustainable for them, because they'll be pioneering the different solutions that we have. So like you've said, it's not just about numbers, right? But what's the impact? What's the story of transformation there, right? Just having that shared value, because we are human at the end of the day, right? And it's not just about, I've reached 10 girls, for example, right? But what has happened to the lives of those 10 girls, right?
And also something that I'm looking forward to is within this podcast we'll be interacting with changemakers, both big institutions, we hope so, and also people who are doing the smallest of things and changing, or rather making the social impact tick within that. And we hope that you subscribe to the podcast so that at least we can have this discussion and also showcase this, especially the people who are who we do not call them the big wigs or the big people, but also the normal people. Those are the people we want to show off in terms of what innovations do they have, and how do they work with the community, or how can we work with the community to especially make it more community solvable and works for everyone.
Exactly. Dennis, also another thing another myth that I really want us to talk about is like the fact that the social impact space was majorly dominated with NGOs. So it looks like it's a Western thing being brought down, like it's a top-down solution, something of the sort. But one thing that, even being in this space for a couple of years, I've gotten to learn is that we have our own solutions. We have indigenous solutions that are very tailor-made to us as Africans, to us as Kenyans, to even us as young people, right? So just understanding that it's not really about, okay, this is funding that we have, this money we have to use it, and we have to report back, but really looking at what are the solutions that are there. Like we said, working with the community, working with the people, and it's more or less around co-creation, partnership, really empathizing, right? Going down and really empathizing. And when talking about empathy, sometimes I also even battle with it, being in this space, right? Because you're like, okay, you're trying to put yourself in someone else's shoes, but you do not have the lived experiences that they have. But here, other than beating ourselves down, what are the assumptions that I have here, right? What are the assumptions when it comes to things to do with gender equality, things to do with, different problems that we are facing? And from that point of view, just understanding that just brings out this curiosity that we need to lead with, especially when we are solving for people, because, again, social change is not fast. It's not a snap. It's really slow. You need to understand there's a lot of, behavioral change. There's a lot of understanding that comes with it, right? To look at, okay, let me just let go of any solution that I think I have and really come and understand what's going on here, right? And having that kind of mindset, right? That kind of collaboration, co-creation aspect, and understanding that everyone has a part to play and no idea is bigger than the other, for example, and just coming together and really looking and evaluating on the different solutions that we have is quite important, and not letting, this is these people's thing, so let them do it, and then they'll just give us the solution and they'll just give us money, and then the next time you're coming, you're still like, oh, why did that solution not work? And then you're like, oh, it's another research money again. But it's quite important to understand the value of co-creation and collaboration in this whole social impact space for us to bring sustainable solutions that really outlive us, right? And make the world better.
Yeah, awesome. I believe that's also we have gone to the next question, which I had is basically why should we care about social impact? Because especially right now, we believe there's a shrinking of funding that is coming up. So every action, every coin spent, it should have a value, or rather it should matter, it should change a life. So I believe also the co-creation aspect, you understanding what is the value, or rather you understanding how can your solution contribute to that, it's quite crucial, and that's why we should matter about social impact. Any other things you think of?
We are relational creatures. We are human beings, right? And we really would want to in this journey together of life, right?
Yeah.
And just supporting each other that's the base for me for social impact, right? Because we are having this shared journey together, and we want everyone to have dignified and fulfilling life, if we can say that, right? Yeah. And we live in a world where there's so many problems that are coming up. It can be things to do with now we are having war. Even when you just come back to Kenya, we're having a lot of political instability. And you'd find that most of our problems come from a social, unheard social issues, right? Mm-hmm. So we feel that maybe we are not heard. We feel that we need to go about it a different way, right? But when you come and look at it from a sense of social impact, we're looking at, like we said, the different players that are there. And how can all these players be held accountable, right? For us to build a better world together. We can talk about war, we can talk about climate change, which is a very, very hot topic right now. We can talk about gender equality, inclusion also. These are just fundamentals that we need to have to live a dignified life. So if we are providing solutions that actually speak to the problems or the challenges that we are facing as human beings in our different contexts, it will really not only improve our human capital, but also you'll see a ripple effect in our local communities, nationally, regionally, and also even globally, right? So other than just looking at, okay, so what will it solve at this small box, but look at the value of social impact even from a global perspective, a national perspective. Because you'd say if we have, good policies from the government, for example, you'd find that there'll be reduced systemic inequalities, right? We have a lot of injustices that are happening right now. If we have good governance, because good governance is also part of social impact, right? So how can we address this together and ensure that we are living a generation or a world that is not, we say creating a better world, yes, but not only for us, but also for the future generations to come, because we are actually living, because, based on different things that were done prior. So we are now here because, maybe there's an innovation that has supported us or someone had to forgo something for us to be here today and also speaking about this topic. Mm-hmm. But just looking at it beyond us and seeing how we can really ensure that we are making things, or we are living in a sustainable world where people, the planet, where are into consideration, our environment is into consideration. And with that, we can really achieve a lot together and really reduce the disparities, the inequalities, the discrimination, the injustices around, other human beings and also even around the world, if I may say. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that. I believe we are coming to an end with that takeaway. I believe from what I'm hearing from you is more or less social impact is not just for NGOs, but all of us as businesses, as individuals also. We can collaborate and make a change in this world. So thank you very much. Do not forget to like, comment, and also subscribe to Beneath the Impact. Thank you very much, and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Beneath the Impact, where we go beyond the numbers and narratives to uncover what really drives change. If today's conversation sparked a thought, shifted your perspective, or started a question, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode, like, subscribe, leave us a comment, and join the conversation online. You can find us at beneath.the.impact on all socials. Until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, and keep digging beneath the impact.